If you're in the market to build a PC right now, chances are you're having a pretty hard time doing it. PC parts are really high in price right now, and they're really hard to come by, especially on the used market. So today I wanted to go over my PC, which I built right around this time using the used market in other areas, and I got it for a really good price, and it's a great system. Hey everyone, it's Logan. So today I wanted to go over my PC. So inside of this thing I have a GTX 970 with 16 gigabytes of 3000 megahertz RAM. I have a Ryzen 5 1600 with a 500 gigabyte hard drive and a 450 watt power supply, all plugged into the Asus A320M-K Prime motherboard. This PC has been great for me for a long time. I built this thing around last summer, and it was around the time when PC parts were really hard to acquire, and building this thing was no easy task, but it's a lot easier than trying to find brand new parts and top of the line stuff right now, and even stuff brand new off the shelves at stores. So today I want to go over how you're able to build something like this, and how it performs, and alternate routes you can go after. So like I said with this PC, the parts in here are amazing. The GTX 970 can play almost any game, 60 FPS, 1080p. I'm sure you can get 1440p at around 30 FPS, maybe even 60. I have a 1080p monitor, so I'm not too worried about that. But it plays games great, and it can do a bunch of rendering and processing great, especially with streaming and coding with the NVENC settings. It works great for that, and any games that I've played on it have run perfectly fine, so I'm not too concerned about the performance it gives in that area. The Ryzen 5 1600 is a great little processor. It's no means better than a Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 9, but it's a really great processor that can be plugged into AM4 motherboards. It can do almost anything that any other CPU does, but with 4 cores, it's a really good little processor. It comes with a Wraith Stealth cooler out of the box if you were to get it brand new, and that cooler is great, great out of the box. You don't really need to upgrade from there, but it's a great little processor, and I'd highly recommend it for any AM4 build. The Asus Prime A320M-K is definitely the best part of this system. It is a bare bones motherboard, but you don't really need to have a great motherboard for that well of performance. The motherboard is realistically just what you plug everything into, and if you need to go with a bare bones motherboard that supports DDR4, I would definitely suggest support DDR4 and AM4, Intel slot or whatever, then it's a great motherboard. It's a micro ATX, and it has 2 RAM slots with port as well for the graphics card. So it's a great little motherboard. It has everything that you need. The only thing that it doesn't support is RGB lighting and adjustable lighting that way, but you don't really need that. It's just an option. If you really want that, then yes, you can get something else. But if you want a bare bone system, can do everything that you want with pretty good parts, and that's a great choice for you. Other than that, what I would upgrade in this system is the hard drive. Now, hard drives are kind of obsolete now. You really want to get an SSD, especially since now the new next-gen consoles have SSDs. That way you're able to load games and even run your operating system a lot faster than a traditional hard drive. You probably want to get somewhere around a 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte. I have a 500 gigabyte thing in this. That's definitely the next thing I want to upgrade in this thing, because it's just really slow, and it's really hard to load stuff, and I keep running out of storage. So I definitely suggest upgrading that as the next thing to do. Now, besides that, if you're looking to build a PC, I would definitely look on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji, depending on where you are. I definitely look at those and make sure that the parts work by asking the person, like, hey, can you send me a video of it work? Can I see it working? And make sure the product's good. Chances are it is. I just make sure that you don't want to get scammed out there, so just be careful with that, and especially like meet in a neutral place. If you are a little sketched out, you don't want to be going into people's houses as well. You want to make sure your stuff works, you want to make sure you're safe at the same time. So being able to know that this stuff works, you're able to get a really good price for a lot of stuff. I ended up getting my GTX 970 for only 200 bucks. Now that's kind of more expensive what it is, but with the graphics card market as it is right now, that's a pretty decent price. Now that we're talking about prices, I figured that I should go over the price of this entire system. This whole thing cost me around $600 in total, and that's Canadian dollars. Probably be more around 500 for American. So for the graphics card, like I said, I paid $200 for that. The CPU, the Ryzen 5 1600, I paid $100 for, which is a great price for that. The case, I paid $64, which is just the Corsair Carbide 175R case. It doesn't really matter what case you get, but it's a really great case. And then the hard drive I already had from a previous thing, so let's say it costs about 30 bucks. Power supply, 450 watt. I definitely suggest getting around a 550 watt for a system like this, just because you want to, make sure, if you want to have the upgrade ability, make sure you have a little bit more wattage than you really need. And yeah, on top of that, I also have the Asus Prime A320MK motherboard, which cost around 80 bucks, and the RAM also cost 80 bucks altogether. So about around $600. I'll put the exact price on the screen, but that's what I paid for this thing. So yeah, alternatives you can get with this, the graphics card, I would suggest getting around the GTX 970 is great. If you can get a GTX 1050 or 1660, that's great, kind of upper area. I wouldn't spend more than $200 to $300 on one. They're really not worth much more than that, maybe $350, but if you're once you're pushing that, it's a little much. And even so, even for the GTX 970, 200 was a little pushing it. I'd probably pay around $150 for it. But it's a decent graphics card, and I definitely recommend it to anyone. For the processor, I'd probably suggest something like a Ryzen 3 3200 if you want to kind of go down a little bit, or even like if you want to go down a lot more, I'd go with the AMD Athlon 3000G, just because it has integrated graphics and it's just super bare bones. I think it only has 2 cores, so that would be great just if you want to surf the web and that kind of stuff. Do super light gaming like Minecraft. But other than that, I'd say that this processor is great. I wouldn't go anything higher or lower. If you want to go higher, Ryzen 7 is great, but honestly, I think that this processor is a really great choice for the price. And like I said before, getting an SSD is way better than a hard drive. They're a little bit more pricey, probably around 50 bucks. I'd definitely spend around the 50 to 100 bucks for the 2 terabyte model, but honestly, a hard drive, if you have to, sure, it works. You can probably find one for really cheap, but I would definitely recommend getting an SSD instead. And yeah, so that's about it for the alternatives that you can get. Like I said before, you're looking on Facebook Marketplace has been honestly found my best success there, and also Kijiji, I guess, if you guys have that. Just any second-hand place, but also I've gotten a lot of this stuff from Amazon and Newegg. If you can find good prices on that place, definitely go new if you have to, or definitely go new if you're able to. Go used if you have to. Used is for if you want to find a better price or stuff isn't available and all that stuff. But if you're paying the same amount used as you are new, or maybe even a little tiny bit more new, I definitely go new, because that way you know it's working, you have warranty and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. So what do you guys think about this PC? I'll run benchmarks on it right now so you guys can see how it performs. Besides that, what do you guys think of my PC? Was it good? Do you think that I could do you think there's any other way that I could upgrade this thing? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, because I post every 1 to 2 weeks. And yeah, if you guys haven't yet, please check out my podcast with 2 of my other friends. It's the LLM Podcast. I'll put a end card to it right now. And yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.